Hey everybody, Mr. Butman here. This is another 2.6 Algebraic Methods exam question. So we're looking at all the achieved questions for the 2023 exam in this video. Let's start off with question number 40. Don't forget to check out the website link for a better view of all the questions. So question number 40, we've been asked to simplify this mess. Of note, positive indices only are what they're looking for. So we can't have any negative powers here. So let's start by jotting down my expression. So I'm looking for the fifth root of 4 times 2n all cubed divided by 8n. So my first step here was really just to simplify everything inside the fifth root sign. I'm hoping the n's will eventually cancel each other out, leaving me something easier to do the fifth root of. So that's where I started with. So let's do my fifth root sign because I know I'm not going to do anything to do with that. So that's going to be 4 times, expand the brackets, that's going to be 2 cubed and then n cubed. So 4 times 2 cubed times n cubed, and all of that is divided by n to the power of 8. This is what I was looking for. These n's kind of cancel out a little bit. So that means the fifth root is going to be equal to, let's start off with this. So 2 cubed is 8 times 4 is 32. So that's going to get me to 32. And the n's, that means there's 5 more on the bottom. So these 3 are going to cancel out 3 of these, leaving 5 at the bottom. So it's going to be n to the power of 5. And this is really good because both of these can actually be fifth rooted. So let's do the fifth root of 32. So I'm splitting this up, divided by the fifth root of n to the power of 5. The fifth root of 32 is actually going to be 2 because 2 to the power of 5 is 32. So it's going to be 2, and the fifth root of n to the power of 5 is just n. So simply put my answer down the bottom there, 2 over n is what all that mess comes to. We are now on to question number 41. Same deal, we've been asked to simplify all of this. So question number 41, so we've got n cubed divided by 16n to the power of 6, and all of that is the power of negative 0.5. So I guess the first thing to note is that's a negative power and it's a power of 0.5. So there's two things that it's got going for it. So let's start off with a negative power bit. If I turn my fraction into its reciprocal, I can make that negative power a positive power. So let's do that first. So we're going to have 16n to the power of 6 divided by n to the power of 3, and all of that is the power of 0.5. Noting the negative power is now positive because I've made the fraction the reciprocal. The next thing is I know power of 1/2 is the same as a square root. So I'm going to look to do that first. I'm going to look to do that eventually. But before I can do that, I can actually simplify this bracket a little bit because the n to the power of 6 divided by n to the power of 3 will actually cancel out and make my life a little bit easier. So that's going to become 16n cubed to the power of 0.5, just noting that these 3 cancel out 3 here, leaving me with 3 up the top. I'm now going to go square root of 16n cubed, splitting that up, so square root of 16 times the square root of n cubed. So that's going to become 4 times n to the power of 3 and 1/2, or you might put that as 4n square root of n. Both meaning the same thing. And because they're both positive power, we're all good. It didn't say anything about simplifying the fractional power, so I like that as my answer. Okay, I'm now on to question number 42. We've got a log question. Find m if this equation is true. So let's jot down my equation. So log with a base of 2 is going to be equal to 3m plus 1. And that's all equal to 4. So the trick I've learned this year from a few of my student teachers is that 2, if I put it underneath the 4 there, so that's going to become 2 to the power of 4, that's going to be equal to whatever's inside the brackets. So it's going to be 3m plus 1. So one of them called that the Snell method, which I was a big fan of. 2 to the power of 4, remember that's going to be 2 times 2, which is 4, times 2 again, times 2 a fourth time. So that means 16 will be equal to 3m plus 1. So that means 15 will be equal to 3m, and then finally m will be equal to 5. We are now on to question 43. Geez, we're going rapid fire through these ones. Those all seem to be nice, quick, easy, achieved questions. 43, we've been asked to solve this quadratic. So as I'm writing it down, 5x squared plus 13x equals 6. I do want to note there's a few different ways to solve quadratics: factorizing, quadratic formula, completing the square, using a calculator. In an exam, always use your calculator because you're less likely to make math errors in that approach. So I guess the first thing we need to do is we need to move that 6 to the other side to make sure my equation is equal to 0. So let's go 5x squared plus 13x minus 6, because it's been moved over, equals to 0. From here, let's pull up my a, b, and c so I can put it into my graphics calculator. A is equal to 5, B is equal to 13, and then finally C is equal to negative 6. So we've got my A, B, C. You then plug it into your calculator. If you need help doing that, let me know. So, but x1 here was going to be 2/5, or it might have been 0.4 on your graphics calculator. And then finally, the second answer for x was negative 3. Final question, question number 44. This one here is going to be messy, but we've been asked to simplify this quadratic fraction. And I guess the things we need to note is we need to factorize the top and the bottom of this separately to then be able to do it. So let's start off with the top. Because of that 3, I know it's going to be something to do with the grouping method. So 3x squared minus 10x plus 8. I'm going to start by multiplying the a value out front by the positive 8 down there. So that's going to be 3 times 8 is going to be 24, noting positive 24. So I now need to think, well, what multiplies to that positive 24 and adds to negative 10? And hopefully you're thinking negative 6 and negative 4. So that negative 10x actually represents negative 6x and negative 4x. So let's write that out separately. So all of that is going to be equal to 3x squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 8. Now my first group here, I'm going to factorize with a single bracket, and then I'm going to do the same for my next group over here. So my first group looks like they've got a 3 and an x in common, so it's going to be 3x. There's an x left over with a 2. My next bracket, it looks like they've got a minus 4 in common, and that means it'll be x minus 2. I'm just noting it's really common here. I saw a lot of students, I'm assuming a lot of students would have written plus 2 here, but if you had a plus 2, you would have had negative 4 times positive 2. That would have come to negative 8, but noting our quadratics is plus 8, so it's going to be 2 negatives multiplying to that positive over there. So I've got the same bracket twice, which is great, which means I didn't stuff up and I'm on the right track. So let's write down my common bracket. So x minus 2 is the bracket both of them have, and the 3x and the minus 4, they come together to form the second bracket. So that's going to be 3x minus 4. So that's going to be the numerator of my quadratic fraction. So let's write that down up here. So it's going to be x minus 2, then it's going to be 3x minus 4 over. I now need to think, how am I going to factorize this bottom thing here? So the minus sign is a really big giveaway. So I'm thinking straight away difference between two squares. And you just got to check. So can you square root 9x squared? And you can. That becomes 3x. Can you square root 16? Perfect. You can. That's 4. So this one here is going to be 3x plus 4. And then 3x minus 4. So we're using our square root approach to find out the difference between two squares there. So I'm going to write those brackets up here to complete my fraction. So it's going to be 3x plus 4. And then we're going to have 3x minus 4. Liking what I see here, I've got a fraction on the top, a factor on the top and the bottom, which I can cancel out, leaving me with x minus 2 divided by 3x plus 4. So short video. These, I suppose the first 4 achieved questions were pretty quick and sharp, easy achieved marks. The last question was a bit slower, but hopefully you found all the achieved questions for the 2023 exam helpful. If you haven't already, maybe have a look at all the merit and excellence stuff. Well done and good luck on your exam.